Hello friends, and welcome back to the channel. On today's episode, I am going to do a full build and kit review of the 1970 Plymouth Duster Funny Car from Revell. This kit was sent to me by my friends over at Revell, so thank you very much guys, I appreciate it. So we're going to build this kit and check it out, and I'm going to give you a full-blown review at the end of the build video. This particular kit has been around since 1970 and was originally issued by Monogram Mattel. It has then seen many reissues from 1973, 1974, 1975, 1977, 1984, 1997, 2004, 2006, 2013, and now once again in 2023. So this kit has seen many box changes, many decal changes, and I think at least one or two new parts issues. Now, according to Scalemates, this is just a new reissue with new decals and obviously a new box. I do not know if they've got any new parts in here, but we're gonna find out. Alright, before I open up the box, I'd just like to take a moment and say thank you to all my subscribers. I really appreciate it. If you're new to the channel and you haven't already subscribed, please click that subscribe button down below. I'd really appreciate it, and it helps out the channel. And also, don't forget to check out my shop in the links down below, where you can pick up some cool stickers, a mug, a t-shirt, all scale model themed, designed by me, a scale modeler. Alright, so let me clean off the bench here, and we're gonna crack open this kit. Okay, first out of the box is the clear plastic. It's just a very basic piece of clear plastic, and it looks like our lights for the light bar on the top. This has been called the cop-out in the past, so it's always resembled a police car, and actually that's the one I really wanted to get when I was a kid, but I never got it. I do believe I did the Plymouth Duster version, just the standard green one, back in the 70s. So this is going to be another walk down memory lane for me, even though I vaguely remember that. But anyways, these are nice clear parts. All right, here we have the body. Let's get this opened up. Okay, so in that bag we have the body. And the mold looks really nice. It's nice and crisp. It's got some raised details, got some recessed lines for the doors. The front clip's already in there, so is the back. We got our cool little parachute mounts back there. All right, that part looks pretty good. Set that up there. Also in the bag we have, looks like part of our interior tub. And we have a rubber band, which, not sure what that's for. Maybe that's for the blower. That would be pretty cool to have an actual rubber belt for the blower. And we have two tires, which appear to be our front tires. All right, next out of the bag we have our slicks. They are two-piece vinyl, and they are actually molded to show where, you know, the car is burning out, doing a burnout, the tires flexing, the sidewalls giving way. That's pretty cool. So those will be neat. Next out of the bag, another bag of parts. Let's get these opened. Okay, on this tree, we've got the engine, rear end, headers, roll cage, seats, looks like a firewall, the transmission hump. Not sure what those are, possibly the heads. Overall, it looks really good. There's not a whole lot of flash. There is some, but the parts look pretty clean and pretty well molded. Okay, here we have our frame. Again, parts look pretty well molded, and they will require a little bit of cleanup, but overall not bad. Looks like we've got a lot of very nice positive mounting points, which is nice, especially when you're dealing with a frame that has to be straight. All right. Next we have our chrome tree. Let's get this opened up. Okay, nice looking chrome tree, well plated. We got our cylinder heads, suspension parts, wheelie bars. We have the wheels, a rear end cover, which is referred to as the pumpkin. I got some, looks like some intakes for the air intake there. All right. This tree we have the rear wheels, and looks like we've got some, not sure what that is, but we'll figure that out. Looks like it's possibly the wheel back, I think is what this is. All right, got a fuel tank. Not sure where this goes yet. The parts to the light bar on top. Some more suspension linkage. Parts to the wheels. I'm sure here's our blower. Looks like the blower comes in about 4 pieces. All right. Okay, let's check out what else is in the box. Okay, we have our decals. All right. These are pretty nice decals. They look pretty well printed. Now, I have had their modern decals on other kits before, and they always seem to go on really well. So I'm interested to see if these are the same, and I will let you know. All right. We have our instructions. And this looks to be kind of the older Revell instruction sheet. Does not look like they updated this very much. There's our paint colors, our parts lists, lots of parts. Let's see though, starting off assembling the blower, the engine. There's our frame. Wheels at the end there. And then our layout for the decals. Okay, well, that's the kit unboxing. So now I am going to clean all this up and we are going to get to the build. The body mold on this kit is really nice, but there are some mold lines that we'll have to address. I'm highlighting the lines with a Sharpie, and then as I sand them down, once the Sharpie mark is gone, I'll know that the mold lines are also gone. I start off with a coarse sanding stick, and then I'll work my way up to finer and finer grits until eventually I'll use a super fine grit to polish the area. The chrome plating on these parts is very well done, but I'm going to remove the chrome on my kit because that's just the way I like to do it. These parts will take a bath in some super clean, which will remove the chrome in usually a few hours. Now that I've removed all the mold lines, I'm going back over the body with a sanding stick just to do the normal cleanup that's typically needed on these types of kits. Now that the body's been sanded and cleaned up, I'm giving it a once-over with some rubbing alcohol in preparation for hitting it with some primer. I'm using an old toothbrush to remove any leftover pieces of chrome from these parts. After this, I will wash them in warm soapy water and set them aside to dry. I'm painting the body color in TS18 Metallic Red by Tamiya. The engine parts for this kit required the normal amount of cleanup. There isn't a whole lot of engine detail on this kit, but the parts are well molded. Assembling the engine on this kit was very straightforward and went together without any problems. The alignment pins for these parts were a little off, so I just snipped them off, held the parts straight, and then glued them in place. Once these were dried, I sanded down the seam lines to make them smooth. And now, onto the frame. These parts can be a little tricky and you want to get the frame straight, so just take your time and everything should go together okay. I decided to drill the holes out in the exhaust just to give it a little more realistic look. I start off by using a center punch and then start with the smallest drill bit I have, then gradually work my way up. Here I'm adding a clear coat so I can go back and detail the engine some more. I'm using a black panel line wash to add some detail to the engine. I'm using the same black panel line wash on these parts. I don't have to be too neat with this because I'm going to come back later with some turpentine and clean it up. Now I'm using some Tamiya clear smoke and airbrushing it on the windshield. This will give it a nice tint. Now I'm using some odorless turpentine and a Q-tip to clean up the excess wash. I'm using Mission Models chrome paint over these parts that I previously painted gloss black. This will give me a more natural chrome look. I painted the headers in a very dark gray, and now I'm dry brushing some steel color lightly over the tops of them. This will give them a more realistic appearance. After I glued the two halves of the rear tires together, I sanded the seam, but I just didn't like the way it looked. I decided to paint the entire tire with Tamiya's rubber paint. I think this will make the rear tires look a little better too. The decals provided in this kit are really nice. I was a little concerned about these larger ones, but they actually went on very well. I'm using the same black wash on the parachutes as well. And now I'm cleaning up the excess wash. Here I'm using some very thinned down gold paint and dabbing it on the intake manifold to give the flaps a nice color. I'm using my chrome paint pen to add chrome to the lug nuts on all of the wheels. I'm painting the seat belts in a flat red. This took a couple coats, but in the end it turned out great. I'm using the same chrome paint pen to highlight and color the buckles for the seatbelts. This is the first model car kit that I've ever built that has a rubber belt for the blower. It was a little tricky getting it in there, but I really like how it looks. And here it is, friends, the Flashpoint 1970 Plymouth Duster Funny Car in 1/24 scale by Revell. Now, I have been a fan of funny cars and drag racing in general since I was a kid, so I was really looking forward to building this kit. And I'm happy to say this was a fun build and brought back many fond memories from when I was a kid. Now, I've built many model car kits throughout the years, and even though this isn't a new kit, it's a good kit that's fun to build and does go together pretty well. As for the history of this kit, it was originally produced by Monogram Mattel back in 1970. According to Scalemates, this is the 11th version of this kit, and out of those 11, only a couple of those releases noted new parts, and the rest were just decals and or new box art. Now, I'm pretty sure the first new parts release, which was in 1974, was the addition of the light bar, since this was also the first release of the cop-out version. Do any of you know which other parts have been changed over the years? Let me know in the comments, I'd really like to know. I'd also like to know if this is the first release with the rubber band blower belt. This was also a first for me. None of my previous model cars have included anything like that, and in my opinion, I think it was a nice addition. Even though this is a new take on an old kit, the parts were well molded and required what I would consider normal cleanup. And even though my favorite version of this car was the cop-out, I really do like this fire department theme. The decals on this kit also were really nice. I was a little concerned because these ones on the side are all one piece, they're rather large, but I had no ripping, no wrinkling, the adhesive worked great, and I was just really impressed with how well the decals did go on. There isn't a lot of detail in this kit. However, areas like the suspension and steering linkage are well designed and detailed. Now, for an advanced modeler, this kit could definitely be modified to include some serious details. The mold lines on the body were minimal, and everything fit pretty much as it should. The instructions were well laid out, and with a few exceptions, they were very clear and easy to understand. This kit is listed as a level 4, so it's not for beginners. Getting the frame assembled correctly could prove to be a little tricky for someone who's not as experienced. So be sure you review the instructions many times before you begin. Okay, so let's get into how I built my version of this kit. My goal here was to have it resemble the box art for the most part, but add a few of my own design elements. The body is painted in Tamiya's TS18 metallic red. I found that color to be pretty close to the color depicted on the box art. I also matched the engine and rear end to the body color. The frame is done in various shades of aluminum and gloss black. Also, I tinted the glass and drilled out the ends of the headers to give it a more realistic look. I must say, I am very happy with how this kit turned out. So overall, I give this kit a 5 out of 10. Now hold on, let me explain why. The molds are decent and most of the parts are crisp. However, it will require an expected amount of cleanup for a kit like this. The instructions are clear and easy to understand, however, there are a couple of issues. The first issue I noticed was in the color chart. The instructions show several painting references to F, but F is actually missing in the color chart. Now, you can figure out which color it should be because the fire extinguisher has a call out for F, so F is meant to be red, but oops, the chart actually reads A, B, C, D, E, L, G, H, I, J, K? I don't know, something got missed there. The other oddity is that the artwork on the box clearly shows that the supercharger has a scoop. And by scoop, I mean the blower scoop, top hat, bug catcher. It's called by many names, but we're just going to call it the supercharger scoop. And there is the top half of the supercharger scoop in the kit. However, it is missing the bottom and the front part of it. Now, I believe this kit most likely shouldn't have a hood scoop on it, and I'm basing that on the design of the intake manifold. But they should have caught that in the artwork, and if it was included as an extra part, then they should have also included the rest of the parts to make up the blower scoop. Now, I don't feel that either of these are a really big deal, but it just looks sloppy, and especially for a company that's been manufacturing model kits as long as Revell has, I felt compelled to subtract a few points. Now, as far as things that I would change about this kit, well, the most obvious thing would be the rear tires. The two-piece tires are nostalgic, I'll give them that, but the fact that they're molded to look like they're moving, but they don't include a driver in the car, you kind of see where I'm going with this, right? Now, if I wanted to display this as a static car like it sits now, I think the tires with the wrinkles in them just look a little funny. And if I wanted to display it as if it was in motion, by jacking it up like this so it looks like it's pulling a little bit of a wheelie or something, I'd have to source myself a driver to fit in the car. Now, they can still include these two-piece tires, but I wish they had also included some single-piece molded slicks without the sidewall wrinkles. So overall, I really believe this is a nice kit with a few quirks about it. However, it was a fun kit to build. I enjoyed building it, and I really liked the way it turned out. So, if you're looking for a new funny car to build, I suggest you pick one of these up from Revell and have a great time with it. So that's going to wrap up this episode of the Flashpoint 1970 Plymouth Duster from Revell. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you found it helpful and entertaining, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please click that subscribe button down below. It helps out the channel, and I'd really appreciate it. So until next time, friends, be safe out there and go build something.